The ringing of the Santa Cruz church bells echoed through the civilian night, but Isabel Navarro only heard the rapid beating of her heart. In front of the door to her small apartment on Mateos Gago Street, her hands trembled as she tried to turn the key. On the doorstep, a black cat with glossy velvet fur watched her motionless. Its golden eyes glinted like two flames in the dim light, piercing Isabel's soul with an intensity that made her shudder. But it wasn't the cat that had her on the edge of panic. It was the email she had received minutes earlier, sent by someone calling themselves a friend of Pope Francis. The last line still echoed in her mind. The cat watching you knows that darkness is coming. Isabel, a 32-year-old freelance journalist, wasn't one to be swayed by cryptic messages. But this email came after an unsettling week. Recurring dreams of a shadow whispering her name in the dark, threatening anonymous calls following an article on local corruption, and now this cat, appearing out of nowhere. She had named it Luna, for the lunar glow of its eyes, but she couldn't shake the feeling that Luna was no ordinary stray. She entered the apartment and shut the door with a sharp thud, but Luna's eyes followed her through the window pane. Isabel turned on her laptop and reread the email. The sender wrote, "Pope Francis has spoken of silent guardians, felines sent by God to protect us from invisible forces. Your cat, Luna, didn't come by chance. Seek Father Diego in Cadiz, he has the answers." There was no signature, only a final warning. "Don't ignore the signs, Isabel. Time is running out." Pope Francis? Isabel frowned. Though not a devout Catholic, she knew of the Pope's reputation for his love of animals, but cats as divine guardians. She searched online and found an ABC Sevilla article about a lesser-known homily by the Pope in the Vatican. It quoted him saying, "Cats, with their piercing eyes and miraculous instincts, see what we cannot. They are a gift from God, protectors against the invisible." The article mentioned a personal diary of the Pope, where he recounted encounters with a gray cat named Sombra, who appeared during key moments of prayer in the Vatican. Isabel glanced at Luna, now curled up on an armchair as if the apartment had always been her home. She recalled the previous night, waking at 3 in the morning after a nightmare, a black shadow in the corner of her room whispering her name. When she opened her eyes, Luna was there beside her, staring at the empty corner. Her low purr sounded like a challenge, not fear. Isabel turned on the lamp, but there was nothing, only Luna, with her sharp gaze. As a journalist, Isabel had a habit of documenting everything. She began noting Luna's behavior, how she rubbed against her legs every time she returned from the newsroom, where she was investigating a corruption case, how she meowed loudly before an anonymous call came through. Once, after a tiring day, when Isabel opened the door, Luna leaped into the hallway, meowing urgently. Isabel followed her gaze and saw a hooded man in the street corner, his face hidden. The man mumbled an excuse and quickly walked away. Isabel was certain Luna had warned her. The next day, Isabel met her friend Maria, a history professor and devout Catholic, at a lively tavern in Triana. Over plates of jamon and red wine, she told her about Luna and the email. Maria listened intently, her eyes sparkling. "Pope Francis spoke about cats in a Vatican audience," she said. "He told how Sombra, a gray cat, appeared before crucial moments, as if praying with him. There's a letter from Father Diego, who worked with the Pope, that confirms it. I can get it for you." That night, Isabel couldn't sleep. Sitting on the sofa with Luna beside her, she read the letter Maria brought her. Father Diego wrote, "Pope Francis believes cats are guardians sent by God to confront forces we cannot see. Sombra would lie at his feet before peace negotiations, as if she knew what was at stake. If a cat chooses you, listen to it." The letter ended with advice. Pray with your cat, as the Holy Father did. Isabel decided to try. The next morning, she placed her hand on Luna's head and whispered, "Lord, bless this guardian you have sent." Luna looked at her, her golden eyes gleaming as if she understood. All that day, Isabel felt an odd peace, as if an invisible weight had lifted. But the mystery didn't end. One night, while writing an article, Luna jumped onto the desk, spilling her coffee. Isabel exclaimed, but before she could scold her, Luna meowed loudly and ran to the window. Through the glass, Isabel saw a hooded figure in the street below, staring up at her. Luna growled, her fur bristling. Isabel closed the curtains and called the police, but when they arrived, the figure was gone. The next morning, she checked the building's security cameras, but the footage was blurry, showing only a shadow fading away. Determined, Isabel contacted Maria to locate Father Diego. If Luna was a guardian, as the Pope claimed, she needed answers. Maria confirmed that Father Diego lived in Cadiz and could arrange a meeting. "Are you sure about this?" Maria asked. Isabel looked at Luna, whose gaze seemed to pierce through her. "I have no choice," she replied. As she prepared for the trip, Isabel received a second email. The sender, again a friend of the Pope, attached an image, a scan page from Pope Francis's diary. The text read, "Cats are not just pets, they are guides. Sombra warned me of danger, and I believe God sends them to protect the chosen." The email ended with a warning. "Luna is your sign, Isabel. Come to Cadiz, or the darkness will find you." Isabel closed the laptop, her pulse racing. Luna jumped onto her lap, purring softly, as if saying, "Don't be afraid." But for the first time, Isabel wondered, was Luna truly an echo of Pope Francis's words, and why had she chosen her? The train rattled steadily toward Cadiz, but Isabel Navarro barely noticed the Andalusian hills passing by the window. Her mind was caught on the second email, the one that included a scan page from Pope Francis's diary. The Holy Father's words echoed persistently. "Cats are not just pets, they are guides. Sombra warned me of danger, and I believe God sends them to protect the chosen." Beside her, in a travel basket, Luna rested, her golden eyes half closed but vigilant, as if sensing this journey was more than a mere getaway. Isabel had decided to go to Cadiz to find Father Diego, the priest who, according to Maria, knew the secrets behind the Pope's teachings about cats. But the email's warning kept unsettling her. "Come to Cadiz, or the darkness will find you." Who knew so much about her and Luna? And why invoke Pope Francis? As a journalist, Isabel was used to unraveling mysteries, but this one made her feel like she was walking on a tightrope about to snap. The train arrived in Cadiz at dusk, and the salty sea air filled her senses as she stepped onto the platform. Luna, inside her basket, let out a soft meow, as if approving of the place. Maria had arranged everything. Father Diego was waiting for her at a small parish in the old town, near the cathedral. Isabel took a taxi, her heart pounding with a mix of nervousness and resolve. She didn't know what she would find, but something in Luna's gaze told her she was on the right path. The San Lorenzo parish was a simple building with white walls and a bell tower rising against the pink-tinged sky. When Isabel knocked, an older man with a kind face but piercing eyes greeted her. "Isabel Navarro?" he asked. She nodded, and he smiled. "I'm Father Diego. Come in, and bring your companion." His gaze settled on the basket, where Luna watched attentively. Inside, the sacristy smelled of incense and melted wax. Father Diego gestured to a chair and sat across from her, his calm demeanor contrasting with Isabel's unease. "Maria told me you have questions," he began, "and I see you've brought a guardian." His eyes lingered on Luna, now out of her basket, exploring the room with silent steps. Isabel wasted no time. She pulled out her phone and showed the email with the diary page. "I received this," she said. "It talks about Pope Francis and a cat named Sombra. It says Luna, my cat, is a sign. What does it mean? And who's sending me this?" Father Diego read in silence, his expression turning grave. "This page is authentic," he said finally. "I knew the Holy Father when I worked in the Vatican. He has a special connection with animals, especially cats. Sombra, the gray cat he mentions, was more than a pet. She appeared during moments of great spiritual weight, as if she knew what the Pope needed." Isabel frowned. "But why me? I'm nobody special. Just a journalist who found a cat." Father Diego smiled, but his eyes were serious. "No one is just anyone, Isabel. Pope Francis believes cats are sent by God to those facing trials. In his diary, he wrote about a gift felines have. They perceive what lies beyond our understanding, forces that can be both divine and dark." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "When Luna chose you, it wasn't by chance. She's here for a reason." Isabel felt a chill. "What reason?" Before Father Diego could answer, Luna leaped onto the table, meowing urgently. They both looked toward the window, where a shadow passed quickly, too fleeting to make out. The priest stood, closed the curtains, and sat back down. That, he said, is part of what you need to understand. But first, let me tell you something Pope Francis shared with me in private. He paused, as if reliving a memory. Years ago, in Buenos Aires, the then Cardinal Bergoglio noticed stray cats following him to parishes. One, a tabby, always sat nearby when he prayed for the sick. Once, a dying woman received his blessing, and the cat approached, purring. Days later, she miraculously recovered. When he became pope, he brought that belief to the Vatican. Sombra, his cat in Rome, alerted him to a plot against the church, appearing at his window before news of danger arrived. Isabel listened, fascinated but skeptical. Are you saying Luna knows something about me? That she's protecting me? Father Diego nodded. Pope Francis wrote that cats act as sentinels. Their behaviors are signs. For instance, when a cat stares at an empty space, it's not mad. It's confronting something you can't see. When Luna meows at night, especially at 3 in the morning, she's alerting you to a spiritual presence. Isabel recalled the nights when Luna stared at her bedroom corner, growling softly. So what do I do? She asked. Father Diego pulled out a small leather-bound book titled The Sentinels of Faith. This was written by a friend of the Pope, a theologian who compiled his teachings on cats. Take it, read it carefully, and do one more thing. Bless Luna every morning. The Pope said a simple prayer strengthens her mission. Isabel took the book, but before she could ask more, her phone buzzed. It was a new email from the same anonymous sender. The message was brief. Ask Father Diego about the Brotherhood. They know why Luna is with you. Her pulse quickened. What's the Brotherhood? She asked, showing the message. Father Diego's face tightened. Not here, he whispered. Come to the cathedral tomorrow. There are things I can't say in this place. He stood, signaling the meeting was over. But as Isabel picked up Luna, she noticed something odd. A small medallion engraved with the image of Saint Francis of Assisi hung from Luna's collar. It hadn't been there before. That night, in a hostel near the port, Isabel couldn't sleep. She read Father Diego's book, which detailed Pope Francis's observations. Black cats like Luna were protectors against negative energies. Their purrs had healing frequencies, confirmed by scientific studies. And, most astonishingly, some cats could anticipate spiritual events. The book quoted the Pope, "When a cat chooses your home, it answers a divine call." But the chapter on the Brotherhood was brief and cryptic. It mentioned a secret group, founded centuries ago, that believed certain cats were sent to protect people destined for great missions. Isabel closed the book, looking at Luna, who slept beside her. Was she one of those people? The idea seemed absurd, but the emails, the shadow at the window, and the medallion made her doubt. The next morning, Isabel arrived at the Cuddy's Cathedral, an imposing building dominating the plaza. Father Diego was waiting in a side chapel, but he wasn't alone. An older woman dressed in black introduced herself as Clara, an archivist for the diocese. Father Diego asked me to help you, she said. The Brotherhood is real, but dangerous. Not everyone believes in their mission. Clara explained that the Brotherhood was a group of laypeople who safeguarded the Pope's secrets about cats, based on visions from medieval saints. They believe cats like Luna are signs of a spiritual conflict, she said. But there are those who hunt them, those who fear the power of these guardians. Isabel was about to ask more when Luna, who had been calm, leaped to the floor, growling. A young man with a scar on his cheek entered the chapel. Clara, Diego, he said, his voice sharp. She shouldn't be here. His eyes landed on Luna, and for a moment, Isabel swore they glinted with fear. Father Diego cut him off. Enough, Mateo. Isabel has a right to know. But before they could continue, Isabel's phone buzzed again. It was another email, this time with a photo, herself entering the cathedral, taken minutes earlier. The message read, "The Brotherhood is watching you. Luna can't protect you from everyone." Isabel looked at Luna, whose growling intensified. Who was Mateo, and how did the Brotherhood know so much about her? The air in the side chapel of Cuddy's Cathedral was thick, charged with a tension that Isabel Navarro could feel on her skin. Mateo's eyes, the young man with a scar on his cheek, remained fixed on Luna, whose rigid stance and low growl seemed to challenge him. The email that had just arrived, with the photo of Isabel entering the cathedral and the warning that Luna can't protect you from everyone, echoed in her mind like a drum. Clara, the archivist, and Father Diego exchanged a meaningful glance. But before Isabel could demand answers, Mateo stepped forward. "She doesn't belong here," he said, his voice sharp as a blade. "The Brotherhood doesn't allow outsiders to meddle in its affairs." Isabel clenched her fists. "Who are you people? And why are you following me?" She pointed to her phone, showing the photo. "Someone's watching me, and I want to know why." Father Diego raised a hand, calling for calm. "Mateo, she has a right to know. Pope Francis taught that guardians, like Luna, choose their charges for a reason. Isabel isn't here by chance." Mateo frowned but didn't respond. Clara, with a soft but firm voice, intervened. "Isabel, the Brotherhood isn't an enemy, at least not all of us. We are keepers of an ancient secret, one the Holy Father has quietly protected. But there are factions within the Brotherhood that disagree on how to handle the chosen, like you." "Chosen?" Isabel let out an incredulous laugh. "I'm a journalist, not a saint. I just want to know why Luna is with me and who's sending me these messages." Clara sighed and pointed to the book Father Diego had given her, The Sentinels of Faith. Pope Francis wrote in his diary that certain cats are sent to protect those facing a greater destiny. Luna isn't just a cat. She's assigned, and the Brotherhood knows it. Before Isabel could reply, Luna leaped from her arms and ran toward a side door in the chapel, meowing urgently. Isabel followed, ignoring Mateo's protests. The door led to a narrow hallway lit by flickering candles. At the end, a hooded figure slipped behind a column, vanishing before Isabel could reach them. Luna growled, her golden eyes fixed on the spot where the figure had been. "Who was that?" Isabel demanded, turning to Clara and Father Diego, who had followed her. Mateo, behind them, pressed his lips together, clearly uncomfortable. "I don't know," Father Diego admitted. "But the Brotherhood has eyes everywhere. Some of its members believe cats like Luna are too dangerous, that they reveal secrets that should stay hidden." Isabel felt a knot in her stomach. "Dangerous? What?" Clara spoke up. "Pope Francis discovered something in the Vatican, something he didn't share with the world. In his private notes, he spoke of an ancient prophecy, guarded by the Brotherhood since the Middle Ages. It says that certain cats, marked by God, will appear before a great spiritual conflict, protecting those destined to face it. But not everyone in the Brotherhood wants that prophecy to come true." Isabel opened the book, searching for the chapter on the Brotherhood. She found a quote from the Pope. "Cats are messengers of God, but their presence awakens both light and darkness. Those who welcome them must be prepared for the trial." Her hands trembled. Was she part of that trial? Father Diego looked at her gravely. "Isabel, Pope Francis entrusted me with protecting this knowledge. When Luna found you, something was set in motion. The emails, the shadows, someone in the Brotherhood fears what you might uncover." Mateo, who had been silent, finally spoke. "It's not just the Brotherhood. There are others, outside it, who want to control the Guardians. If Luna is with you, you're a target." Isabel stared at him. "Are you part of this? Why are you following me?" Mateo hesitated, but Clara cut him off. "Mateo is a protector, like us, but he has his own methods. Not everyone in the Brotherhood agrees with him." Before the discussion could continue, a dull thud echoed from the main nave of the cathedral. Luna bristled, and Father Diego paled. "We have to go," he said. Now, led by Clara, they exited through a back door into a cobblestone plaza. The night was cold, and Cadiz streets were silent, except for the echo of distant footsteps. Isabel clutched Luna to her chest, feeling her heart pound. "What's happening?" she asked, her voice shaking. Clara replied in a whisper. "Someone knows you're here. The Brotherhood's dissenters don't want you asking questions. And there are rumors of an outside group, the Hunters, who pursue guardian cats to destroy their power." Isabel stopped, incredulous. "Hunters? Is this a cult or what?" Father Diego shook his head. "It's not a cult. It's a spiritual war. Pope Francis knew it. In a letter he sent me years ago, he wrote, "Cats are sentinels, but they are also keys. Whoever controls them controls the balance between light and shadow. Luna is one of those keys." They reached an old house on a narrow street, Clara's safe house. Inside, the walls were lined with shelves full of manuscripts and religious artifacts. Clara pulled out a yellowed parchment sealed with wax. "This," she said, "is a copy of a medieval text the Brotherhood protects." It speaks of guardian cats and a coming battle. Pope Francis studied it in the Vatican and believed we're nearing that moment. Isabel unrolled the parchment, but the Latin was indecipherable to her. Clara pointed to an illustration, a black cat, identical to Luna, surrounded by hooded figures. This is the symbol of the chosen, she explained. But it's also a warning. The hunters believe destroying the cats will stop the prophecy. Matteo, who had been watching the window, spoke without turning. The hunters aren't the only problem. Someone inside the Brotherhood wants you dead, Isabel. That's why you're getting those emails. They want to scare you, or worse. Isabel felt a chill. Why me? I didn't ask for this. Clara looked at her with compassion. No one asks to be chosen. But Luna found you, and that means you have a role in what's coming. Pope Francis wrote that those protected by cats carry a divine spark, a force that can change the course of history. Before Isabel could process this, Luna leaped to the floor, growling at the door. A loud bang echoed, followed by a creak. Matteo drew a dagger from his jacket, and Father Diego stepped in front of Isabel. "Stay back," he whispered. Clara opened a hidden trapdoor under a rug. "Get down here," she said. "It's a passage to the cathedral. Take the parchment and Luna. We'll hold them off." Isabel hesitated, but the sound of approaching footsteps convinced her. With Luna in her arms and the parchment tucked under her arm, she descended a stone staircase into a dark tunnel. The trapdoor closed behind her, and the sounds of struggle faded. The tunnel was cold, and the only sound was Luna's purring, which seemed to guide her. After several minutes, the tunnel ended in a crypt beneath the cathedral. Isabel turned on her phone's flashlight, illuminating ancient tombstones and weathered statues. Luna stopped before a slab engraved with the same symbol as the parchment, a black cat surrounded by figures. Before Isabel could examine it, her phone buzzed. Another email, this time with no text, only a video. Trembling, she opened it. The screen showed a grainy recording of herself in the tunnel, taken seconds earlier. A distorted voice whispered, "Asterisk, you can't escape, Isabel. The Brotherhood claims you, and the hunters will find you." Asterisk, Luna growled, her eyes fixed on the darkness of the crypt, where a pair of boots echoed against the stone. Isabel clutched the parchment, her heart pounding. Was she alone in the crypt, or had the darkness already found her? The echo of boots reverberated in the crypt beneath Cada's cathedral, a sound that froze Isabel Navarro's blood. The trembling light of her phone's flashlight barely illuminated the moss-covered tombstones and weathered statues surrounding her. In her arms, Luna growled, her golden eyes fixed on the darkness, as if she could see what Isabel could not. The video on her phone, showing her own image in the tunnel seconds earlier, kept replaying in her mind, along with the distorted voice. Asterisk, you can't escape, Isabel. The Brotherhood claims you, and the hunters will find you. Asterisk, clutching the medieval parchment to her chest, Isabel backed away, searching for an exit in the gloom. "Who's there?" she shouted, her voice bouncing off the stone walls. There was no reply, only the crunch of footsteps drawing closer. Luna leaped from her arms, darting toward a corner of the crypt where a crack in the wall let a sliver of light filter through. Isabel followed, her heart pounding. The crack was barely wide enough to slip through, but she had no other choice. With the parchment tucked under her arm, she pressed herself against the cold stone, emerging into a moonlit courtyard behind the cathedral. The night air was crisp, but Isabel had no time to relax. Luna meowed, urging her to move. She ran through the cobblestone streets of the old town, zigzagging between shadows, until she reached a deserted plaza. There, she hid behind a fountain, panting. Luna sat beside her, her posture alert, as if guarding against something invisible. Isabel unfurled the parchment, trying to decipher its meaning. The illustration of a black cat surrounded by hooded figures was identical to Luna, but the Latin text remained a mystery. However, one word stood out, repeated several times: clavis. Key. Was Luna a key, as Father Diego had said? Her phone buzzed again, snapping her out of her thoughts. It was a text message, not an email, from an unknown number. Asterisk, find the chapel of the forgotten. The truth is there. Don't trust Matteo. Asterisk, Isabel felt a knot in her stomach. Who knew she was in Cada's? And why not trust Matteo? Before she could process it, Luna growled, and a figure emerged from a side street. It was Clara, the archivist, her face pale and clothes disheveled. "Isabel, thank God," Clara gasped. "The house was attacked. Father Diego is injured, but I escaped. The hunters are here." Isabel helped her sit on a bench. "Who are the hunters? And what do they want with me?" Clara took a deep breath, looking at Luna, now in her lap. "The hunters are a group that rejects the prophecy the Brotherhood protects. They believe guardian cats, like Luna, will unleash spiritual chaos if it comes to pass. They want to destroy them, and those who protect them, like you." Pope Francis knew this. In a private audience, he told me he had received visions of an impending conflict, and that cats would be crucial in protecting the chosen. Isabel frowned. "Visions? The Pope?" Clara nodded. "The Holy Father didn't share it publicly, but in the Vatican, he kept a reliquary with notes about these visions. He said black cats, like Luna, are the most powerful, capable of opening spiritual doors. That's why the hunters fear them." Isabel looked at the parchment. "And this? What does it have to do with Luna?" Clara pointed to the illustration. "That symbol represents the clavis divina, the divine key. The prophecy says a marked cat, guided by a chosen one, will open a portal to restore the balance between light and shadow. But the hunters believe that portal will release dark forces. That's why they're after you." Before Isabel could respond, Luna leaped to the ground, growling toward an alley. Clara stood, alarmed. "They've found us," she whispered. "We have to get to the Chapel of the Forgotten. It's on the outskirts of Cadiz, in an abandoned cemetery. There are answers there." They ran through the streets, guided by Luna, whose movements were precise, as if she knew the way. The Chapel of the Forgotten was a vine-covered ruin, hidden among broken tombstones. The wooden door was ajar, and a musty smell greeted them as they entered. Inside, a statue of Saint Francis of Assisi dominated the altar, with a carved cat at his feet, identical to Luna. Isabel felt a chill. Was it a coincidence? Clara searched the altar and found a hidden compartment, pulling out an ancient notebook. "This belonged to a Brotherhood member in the 18th century, she explained. "It records the first sightings of guardian cats. Pope Francis studied it when he visited Cadiz years ago, before becoming pope. He believed it held clues to the prophecy." Isabel flipped through the notebook. The pages were filled with drawings of cats and notes in Old Spanish. One entry stood out. Asterisk, "The black cat will open the door, but only if its protector faces the trial of fear." Asterisk, another quote, attributed to an unknown saint, read, asterisk, "Faith in the guardian is the key to salvation." Asterisk, Isabel looked at Luna, now sitting before the altar, her eyes fixed on the statue. Suddenly, a creak echoed from the entrance. Clara turned, but before she could speak, a hooded figure appeared, holding a lantern that cast dancing shadows. "Isabel Navarro," said a deep voice. "Give us the cat, and we'll let you live." Luna growled, her fur bristling. Isabel backed away, clutching the notebook. "Who are you?" she demanded. The man laughed, removing his hood. He was a stranger, with cold eyes and a scar on his forehead. "We're the hunters. Your cat is a threat, and you're an obstacle. Pope Francis was wrong to trust these animals. We'll ensure the prophecy never comes to pass." Clara stepped in front. "You don't know what you're doing. The prophecy is God's will." The man ignored Clara, advancing toward Isabel. But Luna leaped, clawing his face. He screamed, stumbling back, and Clara seized the moment to push Isabel toward a back door. "Run," she shouted. "Take the notebook and Luna. Find the truth." Isabel bolted, with Luna at her side, into the cemetery. The night was full of shadows, and the hunter's footsteps echoed behind. She found refuge in an abandoned crypt, closing the stone door. Inside, the air was heavy, and the notebook trembled in her hands. Luna sat before her, purring softly, as if calming her. Isabel opened the notebook, searching for answers. A final page, written in Pope Francis's handwriting, stopped her. It read, asterisk, "The chosen's trial is not to face the darkness, but to trust the guardian. Luna is your strength, but only if you believe." Asterisk below was a drawing of a reliquary, with a note. Asterisk, "Seek the key in the house of the saints, where faith and fear meet." Star. A bang on the crypt door jolted her from her reading. The hunters were close, their voices echoing. But then, Luna meowed, heading toward a wall where a crack revealed a tunnel. Isabel hesitated, But Luna's gaze was clear. Asterisk, follow me. Asterisk, with the notebook and parchment, she crawled through the tunnel, emerging on a hill outside Cudis. Exhausted, she collapsed in the grass, Luna at her side. Her phone buzzed again, showing a new email. This time, it was an image of the reliquary described by the Pope, with a message, asterisk, the House of the Saints is in Seville. Take Luna. But beware, the Brotherhood is divided, and the hunters are closer than you think. Star. Isabel looked at Luna, whose eyes glowed in the darkness. The House of the Saints was her next destination, but who was waiting for her there? And what did the Brotherhood want from her? The dawn painted Seville's sky with golden hues as Isabel Navarro arrived in the city, exhausted after a sleepless night. Luna, curled up in her basket, seemed calm, but her golden eyes never left Isabel, as if she knew their journey was nearing its end. The latest email, with the image of the reliquary and instructions to find the House of the Saints, echoed in her mind. The 18th century notebook, the medieval parchment, and Pope Francis's words about Luna as a clavis divina had brought her back to Seville, but the threat of the hunters and the division within the Brotherhood loomed like a shadow. Isabel didn't know what the House of the Saints was, but the message hinted it was in the heart of the city. With the notebook and parchment in her backpack, she headed to the Santa Cruz neighborhood, where the narrow streets seemed to whisper secrets. Luna, now out of her basket, walked beside her, her steps precise, as if guiding the way. Isabel stopped in front of a small church, almost hidden among whitewashed houses. A faded plaque on the facade read, Chapel of the Holy Protectors. Was this the place? The door was ajar, and the scent of incense wafted through the air. Inside, the chapel was modest, with wooden pews and an altar adorned with candles. In the center, a glass case displayed a golden reliquary, identical to the one in the email. Isabel felt a chill. Luna approached the altar, meowing softly, and sat before the reliquary, as if recognizing it. A gentle voice broke her thoughts. I knew you'd come. Isabel turned to see an older woman with white hair and kind eyes, dressed in a simple robe. My name is Elena, she said. I'm the keeper of this chapel and a member of the Brotherhood. Pope Francis entrusted me with protecting what you seek. Isabel clutched the notebook. The reliquary? What is it? And why did Luna bring me here? Elena smiled, looking at Luna. The Holy Father wrote in his diary that guardian cats are more than protectors. They are keys to unlocking divine truths. This reliquary contains a fragment of a sacred text written by Saint Francis of Assisi that completes the prophecy of the clavis divina. Luna chose you because you are the bearer of that truth. Isabel frowned. I don't understand. I'm a journalist, not a chosen one. The hunters are after me, the Brotherhood is divided, and I don't know who to trust. Elena pointed to the reliquary. Open your heart, Isabel. Pope Francis taught that faith in the guardians is the final test. When he was a cardinal in Buenos Aires, he found a black cat that led him to a lost manuscript of Saint Francis. That manuscript spoke of a time of crisis when guardian cats would awaken to protect humanity. The Pope kept that secret, but he shared it with the Brotherhood, and now you're here. Isabel hesitated, but Luna's steady, serene gaze convinced her. She opened the 18th century notebook, searching for clues. A final page, written by an anonymous monk, described the House of the Saints as a place where faith and fear meet. The reliquary, according to the text, contained a prayer that would activate the power of the clavis divina, but only if the chosen one fully trusted their guardian. Elena produced an ancient key and opened the glass case, handing the reliquary to Isabel. Inside, a tiny parchment was rolled up, covered in minute letters. Isabel read it aloud. Asterisk, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace, and let my guardian be the light in the darkness. Asterisk, as she spoke the words, Luna purred, a deep sound that resonated through the chapel. An odd calm enveloped Isabel, as if an invisible weight had dissolved. But the peace was short-lived. A creak at the entrance made Luna bristle. Mateo, the young man with the scar, entered, flanked by two hooded men. Isabel, he said, his voice cold. Give us the reliquary. The Brotherhood can't allow the prophecy to come true. Elena stepped in front. Mateo, you betray everything Pope Francis stood for. The prophecy is God's will. Mateo laughed. The Pope was wrong. Guardian cats are a threat. The hunters are right. This key will destroy the balance. He pointed at Luna. That cat must disappear, and you with her. Isabel backed away, clutching the reliquary. Why are you doing this? I thought you were a protector. Mateo pressed his lips together. I was a protector until I saw what the prophecy can do. The Brotherhood is blind, and the hunters showed me the truth. Hand over the reliquary, or you won't leave here. Before Isabel could respond, Luna leaped at Mateo, clawing his arm. The hooded men advanced, but Elena pushed a pew, blocking their path. Run, Isabel, she shouted. Take the reliquary, and Luna. Fulfill the prophecy. Isabel fled through a side door, racing through the streets of Santa Cruz. Luna followed, guiding her to a plaza where a morning market was beginning to fill with people. She blended into the crowd, hiding behind a flower stall. Her phone buzzed. Another email, this time from Clara. Asterisk, I'm alive. Father Diego is safe. Find the Sanctuary of Light in Triana. The prophecy must be completed. Star. Isabel took a deep breath, looking at Luna, now at her feet, purring. The Sanctuary of Light was her last hope, but the Hunters and the Brotherhood's rogue faction were close. With the reliquary in her backpack, she took a taxi to Triana, determined to finish what she'd started. The Sanctuary of Light was a small chapel by the Guadalquivir River, known for its miracles. Inside, an elderly priest was waiting, as if he knew she'd come. Isabel Navarro, he said. Pope Francis spoke of you. He said a journalist with a black cat would arrive to fulfill the prophecy. Isabel, stunned, showed the reliquary. How did he know? The priest smiled. The Holy Father had a vision before becoming pope when he visited this chapel. He saw a woman protected by a cat, facing the darkness. He gave me a letter for her. He produced a sealed envelope with the Pope's handwriting, asterisk, trust your guardian, and the light will prevail. Star. Isabel opened the letter. It read, asterisk, the clavis divina is not an object, but an act of faith. Pray with your guardian, and the darkness will fade. Luna is your strength, but you are her purpose. Asterisk at the end was the prayer from the reliquary, with an added line, asterisk, may the guardian and the chosen be one in your glory. Star. Suddenly, the sanctuary door burst open. Mateo and the hunters stormed in, armed. It's over, Isabel, Mateo said. No prophecy will save you. Isabel clutched the reliquary, looking at Luna. She remembered the Pope's words. Asterisk, trust your guardian. Asterisk, closing her eyes. She prayed the prayer, her voice trembling but firm. Luna purred, a sound that grew to fill the chapel. A soft light emanated from the reliquary, enveloping Isabel and Luna. The hunters recoiled, blinded, and Mateo fell to his knees, screaming. When the light faded, the hunters had fled, and Mateo was motionless, tears in his eyes. I saw it, he whispered. I saw the truth. He staggered to his feet and ran out, leaving Isabel alone with Luna and the priest. The priest nodded. The prophecy is fulfilled. You've opened the door, Isabel. The light has prevailed, for now. Isabel stroked Luna, feeling a deep peace. What now, she asked. Live, the priest said. Protect Luna, and share this story. Pope Francis wanted the world to know that guardians are among us. That night, back in her apartment, Isabel wrote an article, not as a journalist, but as a witness. Titled The Silent Guardians, it recounted her journey, the Pope's words, and Luna's miracle. She published it on her blog, Days of Pet Stories, and added a note. If you have a cat, watch it closely. It might be your guardian. Subscribe to Days of Pet Stories and hit the bell to stay updated on the next tales of these extraordinary beings. Because Luna isn't just my cat. She's an angel with a tail and whiskers. As Luna slept beside her, Isabel smiled, knowing her life would never be the same.